you actually have a table, you have the structure of the table, and you can identify easily which are the information that actually cause identity disclosure. Further, the other problem that we have, and we need to deal with a given context, because anonymity makes sense if I cannot distinguish a subject within a given context, but we don't really have a clear notion of context in our trust negotiation environment. So let's keep this as example. So we have consider the example of a student who is the only French student in the chemistry department. Or now the property nationality and the property department affiliation is not always revealing identity, but it might be if the user is a particular user which has particular values for that attributes. So in this case, we do have identity disclosure, and it's very difficult to detect it by analyzing simply the name, the attribute name. So the user might not, the trust negotiation party might not have considered them as part of a quasi-identifier groups, because it was not really considering the environment in which the trust negotiation was actually taking place. So we do have to say that the anonymity preserving disclosure may not always guarantee anonymity. So what we can do in this sense to address this issue is we need to assign to each disclosure set a degree of anonymity safety, which means that we want to have come up with a notion which is similar to the canonymity notion that the canonymity works. So the idea is to have any other case subjects in a given group that do have the same disclosure set. So we have a disclosure set, and we want to be sure that every time that this disclosure set is released, there are other subjects which have exactly the same disclosure set with the same values, and this satisfies our notion of canonymity safety. So these are other projects that we've been working on, and are not only related with the privacy anonymity, but still there are a lot of aspects to be considered also related with privacy in these. First is about the mobile negotiations. So another an extension that we are doing, we are trying to make this algorithm, to apply these systems and our algorithm in a mobile environment, which means that we want to have, we possibly want to have negotiations carried out by moving peers, which are, for instance, connected through laptop, through PDAs or other moving objects. Then another important area that we are currently exploring is related with the federated identity management and the trust negotiations within federations. So there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of similarities between the trust negotiation paradigm and the federated identity, and the two approaches can be well integrated to obtain an efficient management of identities of the users. And also we can exploit the trust negotiation techniques within the federation to exchange data, services, or any other information. And our trust negotiation techniques can also be used to prevent some form of identity theft. Okay, I guess I'm done. This is it. These are some references of the work we've been working on. And
actually, I have a quick question about which are exactly the difference of your approach with respect to database, for instance, for the anonymity stuff. You mean it's the structure with this difference exactly, right? So what you have is a sort of a semi-structured data, or you have some partial information on the schema that you have instead in a database. You know exactly.
No, the main difference is that we can't rely on the analysis of the database, like on the content of the database. We don't have the information of the possible tuples, the possible attribute fields that you might have. So we don't have this. We don't have knowledge of which are the, for instance, the keys, the identifiers, the pose identifier. We need to detect them somehow, but we don't really have any reference. Any data to refer to, because the idea is that if the negotiation is executed in a totally open environment, you don't, as a party, you don't have knowledge about the previous negotiation that your counterpart has carried on. So you don't really know if he already has like other information of the same type of different users, or if he has. We are not really we are not making any assumption on the fact that any user is actually keeping track of previous negotiations with other or with the same identities. There's no really linkage between different negotiations.